Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. In this video, I will be helping you decide when and if you should upgrade your potentially better gear. If you've been playing No Kuni for a while now, you might have a few pieces of armor you already upgraded and maybe spent a couple hundred Teraton, and then suddenly you end up getting lucky on the equipment banner, or you got lucky in crafting, and now you have a new piece of gear, but you're not sure if you should keep your old one or should you just upgrade the new one and use it. I think the easiest way to help you guys understand this is through a tier list. Alright, so how this tier list works is I'll be ranking all of the pieces of gear by category, from S being the best in slot and C being the ones that I least recommend. So if you have a piece that's ranked lower, so let's say you're currently using a helmet that's in B tier, and then you managed to get a piece that is ranked higher than the piece you're currently using, so it means that I recommend switching out the old one for the new one that you just got. Keep in mind that this can vary between players, because let's say you're using a helmet that is ranked on A tier, but you already got a high awakening level. There are cases where that helmet, if you get higher awakening levels on the piece, it might not be worth switching out for the new one that you just got that has no awakening at all. So hopefully I set up the rules correctly, and we'll be moving on to the tier list. So first up is the Immortal Helmet, which gives stun, knockdown, and subdue resist rate, which means it gives you a chance to not be affected by any crowd control abilities. I'm gonna put this on A tier because this is more of a PvP piece of armor. Although it's really good, it's not that useful in PvE. Since you'll be mostly fighting smaller mobs, they don't really have stuns, knockdowns, or subdues. And the next one is the Overlord Helmet. I'm gonna be putting this down to B tier because the Overlord Helmet gives you resistance from familiar damage. Yeah, this is good for PvP, but as a free-to-play, you're better off using other equipment that can be used for both PvP and PvE. And the best example of that is the Saintly Circlet. The Saintly Circlet is overall a really good piece of armor because it gives defense percent, and it's not a shiny 4-star, so you're likely to get more copies of this compared to these two. The Circlet overall is the best in slot helmet in my opinion. And the next one is the Mystic Helmet. I'm gonna be putting this right below the Immortal Helmet. This gives critical resist rate by 10%, and there's not much to say about this piece. This is a mainly PvP piece of gear. And lastly, we have the Hard Helmet. I'm gonna be putting this Hard Helmet into C because not all classes can make use of this passive. It gives you heal rate and shield HP. This can be really good for the Destroyer and Engineer that generate shields and heals, but outside of that, I don't really see a use for this, so not unless this is your only helmet available. I don't recommend using this one over the other choices. Alright, and moving on to the chest pieces, the Celestial Armor is by far the best in my opinion because it gives you max HP and every single class can use this one. And next up is the Black Knight Armor. So the Black Knight Armor decreases the crowd control duration for your character. And again, just like the other crowd control passives, this is mainly a PvP piece of armor. So I'm gonna be putting it on A tier. And next up is the Raider Armor. I'm gonna be putting the Raider Armor on A tier because the Raider Armor gives resistance from elite monsters, and more often than not, you'll be spending your time in the Chaos Fields. You will get a lot of value from this piece, especially when you're fighting higher level mobs. So after the Raider Armor is the Palladium Armor, and I'm gonna be putting it on B tier. I place it lower than the Raider Armor because this is basically the same thing as the Raider Armor, but this gives damage from normal monsters minus 10%. This would have been higher if this included the field bosses or any other type of boss, but the monsters out in the open world aren't really that difficult, so I don't see a need for you to use this. And you can't really use these two in PvP, so these are strictly farming pieces. And the last one is the Strong Armor. I'm gonna be placing this on high A. I'm putting this on high A over the Black Knight Armor because the strong armor will give you damage reduction. It's very easy to get this to Awakening 10. And by getting this piece to Awakening 10, you're giving yourself a 5% damage reduction with additional 2 passives, which is Elemental Status Effect, Resist Rate, and Critical Damage Taken. All of those passives are useful in both PvP and PvE. That's why I put the strong armor in high A over these 3. And moving on to the gloves. The Master Gloves are by far the best in the game. Bonus skill damage when your HP is above 80%, so that's overall really strong passive in itself. And next one, I'm gonna be putting the Dynasty Gloves on A. This is also a really good piece because the Dynasty Gloves give you special skill cooldown reduction, and most special skills have very long cooldowns, so that's why I'm putting this on low A. I'm gonna put the Berserker Gloves over this because for one, it is easier to get copies of the Berserker Gloves, and the classes in the game have shorter basic skill cooldowns compared to their special skill cooldowns. You'll get more value by using this piece. Next, I'll be putting the Zest Gloves also on A tier. The Zest Gloves is a great PVE armor because it gives you bonus EXP rate when you kill mobs, but it's only really usable in PVE. I'm putting it lower down on the A tier. And lastly, I'm gonna put the Skillful Gloves on B tier. The Skillful Gloves has a really good passive which gives accuracy rate. It being a 3-star means you will get more copies of this and you're more likely to get more awakening levels. And moving on to the boots. Flash boots is by far the best. This is very useful in PvE, helping you find better positions, and this is also really good in fighting the different types of bosses in the game because you'll have an easier time in dodging the attacks, increasing your survivability, therefore also increasing your DPS, which can help you rank higher in the damage leaderboards. And the next one is the Dragon Slayer boots. I'm gonna be putting this on high A because even though it's just a PvP piece of armor, the fact that it's a 4-star means it will scale higher than the rest of the available boots in the game, and there's a lot of content that will benefit from the skill evasion rate. And next up we have the Expert boots. I'm gonna be placing this just right behind the Dragon Slayer boots. The Expert boots gives you basic attack evasion rate, which is really good, and this is just overall really useful. So next one is the Bounty boots. I'm gonna be putting this on B tier because the passive, just like the Zest Gloves, is only really good for PvE. And the last one for the boots, we have the Nimble boots. This is basically just the worst version of the Flash boots. It gives you half of the movement speed that the Flash boots give, so you're better off using the Speed Aura over this one. Ultimately, I don't recommend this piece, not unless you don't have anything else, like you got really unlucky and you're only getting this boots, so I guess you don't have a choice but to upgrade this one until you get a better piece. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. Hopefully I kind of gave you an idea on how to decide if you should keep your old piece or is it worth upgrading the new one. And if you found this useful, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and maybe hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.